Imagine a place once called the crown jewel of America's military power in Asia. A base so massive, so vital that it shaped decades of geopolitics. That place was Subic Bay in the Philippines. Closed in 1992, forgotten by many. But now, it's making a comeback. And the timing? Couldn't be more dramatic. With tensions rising in the South China Sea, Subic Bay is quietly stepping back into history. This time, not just as a memory but as a frontline defense hub for the Philippines, and a card the United States is ready to play again. For decades, Subic Bay wasn't just another base, it was America's largest overseas naval facility. Imagine this, over 30,000 American sailors and airmen stationed there, nuclear-powered submarines docked, aircraft carriers resupplied, and fighter jets roaring overhead. It was a symbol of American dominance during the Cold War, projecting power across the Pacific. But in 1992, the Philippine Senate voted to close U.S. bases. Subic Bay became a ghost of its former self. Warehouses were emptied. Aircraft hangars stood silent. Families who once lived in the base towns had to move on. Fast forward to today. The world has changed, but one thing hasn't: the South China Sea's importance. Geographically, Subic Bay is a masterpiece. It's just 124 nautical miles from the disputed Scarborough Shoal. The bay's deep waters are capable of holding aircraft carriers, and it's surrounded by mountains, making it naturally protected. In short, whoever controls Subic Bay, well, they control a key doorway into the South China Sea. Here's where things get interesting. Even after the Americans left, Subic didn't stay idle. It turned into a freeport zone, hosting ship repair companies and cargo hubs. But in recent years, U.S. warships have quietly returned for repairs, exercises, and resupply. And under the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, the Philippines has allowed American forces to rotate back into strategic locations. Subic isn't officially called a U.S. base anymore, but in practice, it's becoming the centerpiece of U.S. Philippines defense cooperation. Just think about it for a moment. American submarines dock for maintenance, surveillance aircraft fly out of nearby runways, Filipino and U.S. troops train side by side, preparing for contingencies in the South China Sea. For Beijing, Subic Bay is a problem, a big one actually. Why? Well, because every Chinese move in the West Philippine Sea can now be monitored from a revived Subic Bay hub. Let's break it down for you. A Chinese ship moves near Scarborough Shoal. Subic can launch surveillance drones in minutes. Chinese destroyers patrol disputed waters. Subic can refuel U.S. and Philippine ships right at their doorstep. A crisis flares up. Subic allows rapid deployment of U.S. Marines, Special Forces, and even aircraft carriers. But here's the twist. This isn't just about America. It's about the Philippines taking charge of its own destiny. President Marcos Jr. has doubled down on the U.S. Philippines alliance, granting access to more bases. But Subic stands out because of its sheer scale and symbolism. For Filipinos, Subic's comeback isn't about being a pawn, it's about being a partner. The Philippines is modernizing its Navy and Air Force. Subic Bay is set to become the staging ground for new patrol vessels, missile systems, and maritime surveillance tech. So, what happens next? Military analysts believe Subic Bay is about to enter its most important chapter yet. This won't just be a return to the old days, it will be something far bigger. First, U.S. reconnaissance planes are expected to use Subic as a forward base, constantly monitoring the South China Sea. From here, they can track Chinese movements, map artificial islands, and keep a close eye on the shipping lanes that carry trillions of dollars worth of trade each year. Second, the bay's deep waters make it perfect for submarine operations. Submarine tenders, specialized ships that service nuclear-powered attack subs, could turn Subic into a silent fortress beneath the waves. That means deterrence, the kind of deterrence that makes rival powers think twice before making bold moves. But Subic's rebirth isn't just about conflict. Strategists say it will also be a rapid response hub for humanitarian missions. Every year, the Philippines is hit by devastating typhoons and earthquakes. Having disaster response ships and aircraft on standby here means lives can be saved in hours instead of days. Subic could become the region's lifeline in times of crisis. And then there are the drills. Subic is now being eyed for large-scale joint naval exercises, not only with the United States but also Japan, Australia, and even European navies. Imagine fleets from across the world gathering here, training side by side. That's not just defense, it's a statement. A message that the world is watching, and the world is willing to stand together. This is why analysts say Subic is no longer just a Philippine story. It's becoming a coalition's anchor point, a symbol of unity in a region where tension could easily spiral out of control. But why does all this matter so much? Because Subic Bay isn't just a port, it's a symbol. When Subic closed in 1992, many believed it marked the end of a century-long U.S. Philippines bond. The departure felt like closure, a chapter of colonial history finally shutting. Some said the Philippines had outgrown the need for foreign bases. Others argued it left the country exposed. Fast forward 3 decades and history has pulled a twist. Subic is back, and its return proves something profound. It shows that history isn't fixed. It bends, it turns, and sometimes it circles back when the world changes. It shows that alliances can be reborn, not as echoes of the past, but as partnerships built for a new reality. Today's partnership is not about dependency, it's about choice. A deliberate choice to strengthen security, to claim agency, and to shape the balance of power in Asia. And it shows that the Philippines is no longer a passive bystander. By reopening Subic, the nation is declaring that it will not be sidelined. It will play a decisive role in shaping the future of the region. Subic Bay is proof that sometimes the past isn't dead. It's simply waiting for the right moment to rise again. So what does Subic Bay's revival really mean? It means the Philippines has reclaimed its position as a central player in Asia's unfolding story. Not just a small state caught between superpowers, but a nation with leverage, one whose geography and choices can tip the scales. It means the United States has found its strongest card in the Pacific, a base that signals presence, reassurance, and commitment. For Washington, Subic is more than a military outpost. It's a reminder that alliances still matter. And it means China's ambitions just hit a wall. Every new jet, every submarine, every drill that passes through Subic is a quiet but undeniable obstacle to unchecked dominance. But perhaps most importantly, the return of Subic Bay shows how geopolitics works in the real world. Power doesn't always belong to the biggest nations. Sometimes it's the countries in the middle, the so-called small nations, that shape the destiny of giants. Because in geopolitics, as in history, one truth remains constant: location is power. And Subic Bay? After 3 long decades, it's back on the map, and this time it's here to stay. But here's the question. Will Subic Bay's return bring lasting peace to the region, or could it trigger even greater tensions in the years ahead? What do you think? Is this revival a shield against conflict, or the spark of something bigger?